So I recently saw House of Wax. Dun dun dun! Yes, it's probably one of the most famous vintage 3D movies. Buona Devil came before it. That hasn't gotten a Blu-ray release. Maybe it will someday. But as this Blu-ray case says, it's the first feature produced by a major studio in 3D. I hadn't seen this yet because the previous Blu-ray was out of print and going for a lot of money. But then Warner Brothers reissued it, so I finally got to pick it up, pre-ordered that, and I finally got around to watching it. So I'll just start off by saying that its reputation for being not only a well-known 3D movie, but a well-done 3D movie is well-earned. I like how this is marked as being not just 3D, but third dimension. It's like going to another world, and it kind of really is. This didn't use a standard side-by-side 3D camera rig with both cameras facing forward, filming normally. It used a mirror rig where the cameras were facing each other, but they were angled mirrors, so you could adjust the interaxial that way as well. What's also cool is that this was made with surround sound, which wasn't that common at the time. It was experimented with throughout the decades, and this was one of those things. It hadn't been standardized yet. Um, this three-channel surround sound had the stereo channels as well as rear sound. Of course, not only with the 3D but the surround sound, this was hard, especially in the analog era, to implement this in theaters. So this is not something all theaters were able to do. But of course, now with Blu-ray, surround soundtracks come standard. So you can see the way it was originally intended. Like, for instance, when this guy threw the chair at the camera, you hear it crash behind you. It's like he's throwing it over your head. And the depth was done superbly throughout the film. I mean, I've seen other vintage 3D films, but this one really did it well. The composition of most shots, um, like when you've got the fire, what a thrilling layer of that, to see that semi-transparent fire and the melting wax dummies behind it. At one point, Vincent Price literally looks like he's leaping off the screen when he comes into negative parallax towards the camera. It also works so well, like in the scenes with the mist, and there's even a scene during a fight where a man's fist came at the camera, and this has been done in other 3D movies, but it usually comes off very clumsy, like it's too slow to be realistic or too planned to look spontaneous. But this surprised me how effective and realistic it looked. It was kind of balanced, the two. It was quick and natural, but it also came out of the screen. And then, of course, there's that famous paddle ball sequence. This is known by most, even by many who haven't even really seen the movie. And it's funny because he breaks the fourth wall. He even talks to people in the audience, mentions popcorn, and that ball, of course, is feast for the eyes, coming right out. And not only coming out, but you see it flying back deep into the screen, and it happens really fast, and it's a lot of fun. He even tells you, "Look out, duck." But it's not just those gimmicks, it's even the general scene composition looks really good. The objects, the subjects in the scene, the angles. And it's funny because the director only had vision in one eye, so he couldn't even see 3D. But a lot of it was calculated mathematically and done pretty much to perfection. One thing that is unfortunate, though, is that in a number of scenes, there are instances of vertical parallax, some more severe than others. Now, this could have been fixed easily, aligned. I venture to say that if the 3D Film Archive was hired to do this, that wouldn't have slipped through the cracks. But unfortunately, a number of scenes ended up this way with vertical misalignment. So that's a little straining on the eyes. You might not notice it at first, but if you tilt your head a little to the right, it kind of resolves this discrepancy. But otherwise, this is a great 3D Blu-ray for the collection. If you like 3D movies, this is pretty much essential. And there's some good behind-the-scenes bonus material as well. That's where you'll find more information about the surround sound, as well as the camera rig and other things. And I was pleasantly surprised to see an interview from Eric Kurland. So there's a bunch of treats in there, even a feature-length alternate version that was made in the 30s, that this was actually a remake of, an early Technicolor. So yeah, House of Wax from the Warner Archive collection. See you next time.